then this means you let your mental afflictions run wild like horses without applying the proper antidote. Then, as I just said, proper antidotes like for hate, love, and compassion. For desire, you can meditate on the ugliness of the body or impermanence and death. Then for ignorance, you can meditate on wisdom. Then that wisdom, the shunyata, is the ultimate fix for all those problems. Then you can meditate on how ugly the body is. Then monks, when they take monks' vows, they're supposed to see all girls as girlfriends, or Freudian slip, all girls as mothers or sisters. Then some hot babe walks down the street and you're supposed to, oh, that's my sister, that's my sister. That works for maybe 5 seconds. And then immediately the mind goes back to seeing them as, you know, love interests. And so those antidotes that they're talking about here, then they really don't work in the long run. They're emergency salves, emergency, like an emergency medical kit. But the ultimate cure, the bullet, silver bullet cure, is emptiness, the direct perception of emptiness. Do not engage in bitter quarreling. Then, if a person who's practicing Lojong and meditating nicely, they should have the qualities of an ascetic, a sage. Then sages shouldn't fight over anything. Should be not like that. And then there are some essential qualities of a sage, 4 essential qualities of a sage. Then one is not to respond if a person speaks to you abusively, to respond with abusive speech. Then if somebody is angry with you, not to respond in kind with that mental affliction. Getting angry, this one is very difficult. Then often when somebody, you know, is abusing you, it's very hard to control in your mind. And you may be very controlled in your outward manner. Then in your mind, you're slowly, you're holding that. Then it might not be even explosive, but then it grows on that. Due to that situation, your anger will grow. Very difficult. Then not to respond criticism with criticism. This is very difficult. Then a sage should not do that. Somebody at work criticizes you, and then you immediately, in response to their salvo, criticize something about their work. Then this is very common practice in America. Then not to respond physical blows with physical blows. Then if somebody hits you, you hit them back. And they call it turning the other cheek. Jesus called it turning the other cheek, or Christians call it turning the other cheek. These are 4 qualities of a sage, a practitioner. Then I would also like to put in there, just for me, that if you're at that level, then you can do that. Then some people can't. When I first started studying Buddhism, you know, I was a young man, relatively, and I remember asking Venerable Thupten Phuntsog whether, you know, what happens if somebody beats the crap out of me? What do I do? then he says you defend yourself. You know, you try to do it with the best possible motivation. That is, unless, of course, you know, you're at a certain level where that doesn't, all these practices are contingent upon where you are as a spiritual being. But in the scriptures, that's how they call a great yogi sage. They have these 4 essential qualities. Do not wait along a back alley. Then that's actually the actual translation is do not wait along a back road, but I think for this translation they made it more appropriate for modern day. Then this is people who seek revenge for some kind of wrong. Then without this, no Hollywood would never have any movies. This is primarily the most action movies are about some villain or some hero trying to rectify some kind of situation. Then basically a Lojong practitioner should not be like that. Then if somebody harms you in some way, then you wait for them, and you wait for a chance to get them back. You know, you bide your time, you methodically plan some way to get them back. Then that's the Miyagutang, that's the Yeti mentioned, the wild man, because they're like wild men, Yetis. Then Yetis are like the Himalayan Bigfoots, giant hair-covered creatures, wild creatures. Rinpoche once told me about when he saw a Yeti when he was a boy. Geshe was always Geshe Roche was always very depressed when he heard that story because he just thought it was too outlandish, but Rinpoche was like adamant that he saw a Yeti. Migu, na, lami, pep. Migu, as before, not wait. Na means vital point. Pep means and do not. Then the translation is do not strike a vital point. Vital point. Then do not strike a vital point means if a fellow Dharma friend or any person has some kind of serious flaw, then do not mention that flaw publicly, openly, attack them about that flaw. Then that's what this one means. And this is so very common in our lives. Then you don't like somebody, then of course, sometimes in public you just bring up something that they'd be very ashamed of. Then that person will hate you. Then that person will want to get you back and then causes much suffering. Then in many vows that we have, especially they talk about Dharma practitioners when they attend teachings or rituals, then they shouldn't act in such a manner. You know, no fighting, no pointing at each other's weaknesses, or then when you go to study Dharma teachings and do your practices, then you should always have respect and try to have love for your fellow practitioners, especially if you've taken highest yoga tantra vows.